want to bring in former Republican congressional candidate and News Nation contributor Denise Gitsham and Democratic strategist and former New York State Senator David Carlucci. Good morning to both of you. Let me get to Harris in a second. Denise, can I start with you on Trump first? Because our correspondent Alex Capriello is in Chicago ahead of another Chicago trip from the former president. Why is he spending so much time in these blue states he's most likely not going to win? Illinois today, California at that Coachella rally over the weekend, New York. What do you make of that? Why?
Well, good morning, Marky. It's great to be on with you. I think there's two reasons that Trump is in these blue states where you wouldn't expect to see him in the final days of the election. Number one, I think that he's so confident that voter enthusiasm is so high that his base is going to come out and vote. So he doesn't have to focus on the base. What he can do instead is focus on reason number two, which is he can go on offense in those blue states and switch to focusing on these issues, using these blue states and blue cities as backdrops for talking about what utter failures Democratic policies have been for the American people.
David, let's talk about Harris now. The candidates, as you know, they've been laser focused on Pennsylvania, right? The latest Decision Desk HQ forecast shows Harris leading by 4 points in the Keystone State, 2 points nationally. But the Real Clear polling average shows President Biden and Hillary Clinton were both polling higher at this stage in their campaigns. So, David, do you think that's indicative of her losing momentum here?
Oh, I don't think so. If anything, we see that Kamala Harris has momentum at her back. She has raised more money in the short time she's been in the race than Donald Trump did all year. We see the campaign events, the blitz of media appearances, because right now there's two things. You're trying to throw everything against the wall and see what sticks. And in a race this close with every battleground state, the 7 battleground states, their averages are all within 2 points. That's a statistical dead heat. So you have to throw everything at the wall. You see what sticks, and you have no idea what's going to stick. And that's why you have to do everything. So Kamala Harris did the media blitz this past week. We saw her just reaching out to audiences that typically wouldn't tune in to a political program and maybe have not made up their mind yet. I know it's very few, but there might still be a few people. But then it's about turning out your base. And Kamala Harris has over 200 field offices in the battleground states, close to 2,000 campaign employees that are running field. That means knocking on doors, making phone calls, and making sure that their base turns out.
And all eyes, of course, will be on her this week. Denise, she's agreed to that sit-down interview with Fox News anchor Bret Baier on Wednesday. You think that moves the needle at all with independents? I mean, that's a risky move on her part.
It really is. I mean, I commend her for going on and speaking to all Americans. But I think what you're seeing is, in fact, the honeymoon is over. It was a long honeymoon. And now everyone is saying, what do you actually stand for? And the fact that things are being thrown against the wall to see what sticks is exactly what her problem is. Like Biden, she's trying to thread the needle and find things that work with different constituencies when, in fact, Americans are really spoken. They've said that their top 3 issues are the economy, inflation, and immigration. And she continues to go after things that are really majoring in the minors, things like abortion, which hasn't moved in terms of how important it is to Americans and in regards to whether or not that actually causes people to go out and vote for her or Trump. And so, what I'm seeing is a campaign that's very disorganized where she's trying to focus on, being a moderate person, but none of her rhetoric or her past actions actually line up, which is why you're seeing that 7-point swing that we just saw. In September, Harris was ahead amongst independents by 3 points. Today, a month later, she's behind by President Trump by 4 points. That is hugely significant, and it signals, just like every single poll has shown, that the momentum is gone. The wind has gone out of her sails, and that's entirely shifted to Trump.
David, I think you could be in either party and agree that interviews have not been her strong suit. How nervous does this Fox News interview make Dems?
I disagree. I think Kamala Harris has gotten out there. She's done the job that she needs to do to communicate.
Which one has she knocked out of the park in your mind?
Well, look, it's not about being the most amazing person in the world. It's about beating your opponent. Look, she stepped up and did the 60 Minutes interview. Donald Trump refused to do it. She wanted a debate. Donald Trump refused to do it. If you actually look closely, the interviews that Donald Trump is doing, the past 20 or so have been from conservative journalists. Kamala Harris is doing the full round. She's going to Fox News. She's going to 60 Minutes. So she's looking for eyeballs wherever they are. We know many people have made up their minds, particularly a Fox News audience. But I think it gives her that credibility that she's saying, look, I'm willing to talk to all Americans. I'm not just going to talk to an echo chamber. And that's where now you have to find new eyeballs and convince people to come out to vote. And I think there's a lot of people watching Fox possibly that are not fans of Trump and are deciding whether to stay home or go out to the polls. And that's why it's important to do interviews like this in the final stretch.
Well, they say fortune favors the bold. We'll see if she sticks the landing on Wednesday. David Carlucci, Denise Gitsham, thank you so much. Always appreciate your time.